Hello everybody, I'm Ren, and welcome to One Hope Punk Scene, RWBY After the Breach. This video comes to you as part of a collection of video essays organized by Atom Splitters Entertainment. If you're interested in the Hope Punk genre or just want some media recs that aren't all doom and gloom, definitely check out the link in the description below once you're done here. Please keep in mind that there are some other cool buttons you could click on your way down there too. For my entry into the One Hope Punk Scene playlist, I have chosen the following scene from RWBY Volume 2, Chapter 12, Breach.
Well, we did it.
We did it.
If we don't get extra credit for that, I'm going to be seriously disappointed.
Weiss, a two-headed snake literally crushed a bakery. I wouldn't count on it.
Plus, we didn't solve everything. A lot of people were hurt, and we still don't even know why they did this or who that mystery girl was.
Well, not every story has a neat and tidy ending.
We might not have all of the answers, but we do have a lot of dangerous people behind bars. And I think that's something we can be proud of.
Yeah. And if anyone tries something like this again, we'll be there to stop them.
Yay, teamwork, camaraderie, good guys, go team. Alright, good job. So, what now?
I'd suggest training for the tournament, but I think we have that covered at this point.
So then...
Time for bed?
Oh, please.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm going to sleep forever.
But why this scene? The boring, pragmatic answer is that I wanted a scene to show that RWBY has been Hope Punk the whole damn time, but Adam had already covered this moment.
Unfortunately, the real world isn't the same as a fairy tale.
Well, that's why we're here. To make it better.
And this scene happens too late in the series to make it clear that RWBY has been Hope Punk from the get-go.
Look, blind optimism isn't great, but no optimism means we've already lost. We need hope.
Despite doing something similar and pretty much saying the quiet part out loud, it happens at a time when RWBY just isn't ready to hear it, and so can hit as a bit of a bummer without seeing RWBY choose hope again later in the episode. Which would be fine under other circumstances, but I want to make a very particular statement about the hope aspect of Hope Punk, and while this scene contains enough of the same component pieces to let me do that, I don't want to risk it being undermined by how it also shows RWBY in an emotional low. So we end up here with the more relevant yet esoteric answer, which is that I believe hope is something you do. Hope is a skill, and like any skill, it requires you to practice, to learn how to get better at calling on it and using it. And do you all know what process is fundamental for pretty well every learning or skills development cycle in some form or another? It's reflection, or analysis if you're more scientifically inclined, which is the content of this scene. Team RWBY is reflecting on their most recent adventure, Mountain Glen, the train fight, the breach. How much they still don't know and failed to stop, as well as how much they managed to achieve and the confidence earned alongside those achievements. Obviously, it's not done in an academic manner. This scene isn't supposed to be a teaching moment. In its proper context, it's a tension release, showing our girls get to relax after a battle and reaffirm that they are ready to face the future one day at a time, before the tension gets ratcheted up again by Ozpin's job being threatened and Cinder basking in her illusion of superiority. As casual as the vibes are, Team RWBY take what they have learned from recent events about the world around them and their own limits, and agree on a course of action for the future based on that information. Is it a detailed or expansive plan? No, it's not even a plan at all, really. But it is an agreement to face what comes together, and that's not nothing. Team RWBY has confidence that they will be able to help make a better tomorrow if they keep working at it. And it's not an unfounded belief, because their hard work has already turned what could have been a massive tragedy into a more manageable, although still bad, event. That is the essence of the definition of hope. To want good things to happen, with good reason to believe that they could, even if the odds may be slim to none. I think this is a really understated scene in the wider hope punk narrative of RWBY, and even in the regular narrative of RWBY. It's a quiet moment that makes all the tense, menacing stuff after it hit harder for the end of the volume. It's also a moment where, in taking the time to say there is still work to be done, but we'll do it, and we'll find joy along the way, Team RWBY practices hope, and in doing so creates a hopeful feeling moment. So I hope I have managed to impress on you that this scene is achieving the hope part of Hope Punk, but now let me bring you around to the phrase as a whole. Stories can have hopeful moments and characters, but that doesn't always mean that they are inherently hope punk. Hopes can be dashed. Hearts and minds can be broken. Sometimes an author needs to add some sweetness to make sure the audience experiences the full depths of the bitterness they wish to convey. Tragedy is one of the oldest categories of genre within the Western world, and attempts at tragedy can often fall short if we're not given a glimpse of how beautiful the characters' lives could have been if they had been anyone other than themselves in any place other than their world. Even so, this scene, this show as a whole, is hope punk. And I'm gonna break down why by borrowing the parameters for hope punk laid out by Asia Romano. They aren't by any means definitive, but they mostly draw from the slow unfolding of hope punk's full definition by Alexandra Rowland, the person who originally coined the term in a Tumblr post that simply read, "The opposite of grimdark is hope punk. Pass it on." So, the first parameter is a weaponized aesthetic of softness, wholesomeness, or cuteness, and perhaps more generally, a mood of consciously chosen gentleness. See pictured 4 teenagers relaxing for the first time in days in a warmly lit scene, joking with one another about grades. This isn't unusual for RWBY. It's a feature of the show to get these little glimpses of camaraderie and youthful innocence, even in the face of an ever more dangerous world. Parameter 2. A worldview that argues that the fight to build positive social systems is a fight worth fighting, surmised with the sentiment that feeling resigned is not hope punk. There is not a drop of resignation in this scene. This scene is the last scene these titular characters have for the volume. It is the culmination of their growth for the volume, coming together as friends with a common desire to do good, instead of just huntresses in training learning to be a team. The argument that the fight to build better social systems is a fight worth fighting is hard to isolate in this moment taken out of its full context, but it's lurking quite close to the surface of the subtext when this scene is viewed within its context. They are training to be huntresses because fighting to improve the world is worth doing for so many reasons. Parameter 3. An emphasis on community building through cooperation rather than conflict. In the case of this scene, the subtext is screaming. There is a reason we are looking at a team of 4 young women alongside each other as equals, instead of one heroic figure separated out from their supporting cast of sidekicks. RWBY as a show has always included more bold, colorful characters than their budget and therefore time restraints can fully accommodate. Almost all of their varied cast is united by a fight for the greater good when the chips are down. Parameter 4. A depiction of the fight to achieve human progress as something permanent, with no fixed, happy end.
Well, not every story has a neat and tidy ending.
I've repeated that they plan to keep moving forward and fighting enough times even though they know this, yeah? 'Cause they will, so instead of rehashing that, let me get back on my hope is a skill you practice soapbox again for a second. As this parameter suggests, part of what makes hope punk a distinctive subgenre and a growing philosophical viewpoint is that practicing hope can be hard. As Alexandra Rowland puts it, hope punk is filthy, sweaty, back-breaking work. A big reason for this is that it's continuous. There is no belief that if we just act kind enough and hope hard enough, we'll reach utopia. I personally think this is a combination of the fact that new solutions lead to new problems that we didn't think we'd have before, and the fact that humans like solving stuff, so we're constantly on the lookout for stuff to solve. Because there's no fixed happy end, it can be easy to fall into apathy and resignation if you are only focused on how huge the fight ahead will be. Unless you keep improving your skill. Unless you look back and reflect on your progress. This is a huge part of why I think this scene is so important. You can't help make today better than yesterday if you act like you're building from a blank slate every time. You need to look at yesterday and ask, how did I help make yesterday better than the day before? Can I build on that in a way that will make tomorrow better than today? You need to do that because that is where the hope is. The confidence of Team RWBY to keep training to become better huntresses comes from acknowledging that they have already done more good as a team of trainees than they could have as individual civilians. The path may be long, but look how far we've already come. But let's get back on track and finally address parameter 5. A sense of self-awareness about weaponizing kindness and optimism, and even emotion itself, in the face of that fight. So hear me out. If you just put the answers for parameter 3 and parameter 4 in a blender, folks, no one in Remnant is questioning that the world is a fucked up place. They live in tiny bubbles of industrialized land surrounded by wilderness and under constant threat of eldritch abominations that are attracted to negative emotions. This is a world where training child soldiers to fight back against said monsters is the normalized global standard. But no one on Team RWBY is calling it quits. Remember, this is their ultimate response to minimizing the fallout of a terror attack after realizing and acknowledging that they didn't really stop it.
Yeah. And if anyone tries something like this again, we'll be there to stop them.
On a smaller, more individual scale, this scene ends with Blake Belladonna, eager to go to sleep. A big part of her personal journey this volume was learning self-care, because allowing the fight against the world's injustices to consume you doesn't solve anything, and just creates splash damage that hits the people who care for you instead. Taking the time to care for yourself in a world that wants you dead is Hope Punk. Hope Punk is hope as an act of rebellion. It is acknowledging that optimism and compassion are acts of strength and not signs of weakness. This scene is Hope Punk because it shows us the importance of acknowledging and appreciating the progress you have made, even if the fight ahead is incomprehensibly long, and because it's quietly celebrating the fact that RWBY gets a moment to rest. After all, in a world full of monsters that want you dead, and capitalists who would work you to death for an extra 0.05% profit, taking the time to rest and look after yourself is also an act of rebellion. Thank you to anyone who has watched this far. I didn't intend for this to be my first YouTube video, or to be releasing vids for my new channel this early in the year, but this project hit on so many things I love, I couldn't deny myself the pleasure of taking part when the opportunity was offered. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting that like button or leaving a comment down below. Also, please make sure to check out the rest of the playlist. There is some really cool stuff on there by some very talented and hardworking people. If you liked this video enough to hit subscribe, that's awesome, and thank you again. I've got a little more behind the scenes stuff I want to get sorted before I start posting to a schedule. What I will be making will be a lot like this. My main focus will be on positivity-focused critique and maybe some game design. So if that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll join me when that all kicks off in February. Until then, keep practicing hope. With the state the world is in, it might be a good time to start getting punk about it.